A panel established by President William Ruto in August last year to come up with a compensation framework for victims of demonstrations and public protests will now be an advisory entity with a mandate of 6 months. This change is contained in a gazette notice published by the head of public service, Felix Koskei, giving effect to a finding of the High Court that the president had no mandate to appoint a body to execute a function already assigned to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR. The panel will now advise the President on how best to implement a reparation framework based on KNCHR recommendations. Seth Olale reports.
Congratulations.
A month after High Court in Kerugoya declared the task force to compensate protest victims as unconstitutional, the president has sought to comply with the 30-day ultimatum to save the task force. The primary role of the panel of experts on compensation of victims of demonstration and public protest has now been reviewed. In a gazette notice dated January 5th, circulated by Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Felix Koskei, the functions of the panel will now be to advise the President on the lawful and constitutional implementation of the reparations framework for victims of public protest and riots based upon a report prepared by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and that the panel will perform its functions in strict compliance with the Constitution and all applicable laws and procedures in collaboration with relevant public bodies and institutions where necessary. The Kerugoya High Court had ruled that President William Ruto had no constitutional authority to constitute a body to advise on the compensation of victims, holding that the mandate squarely falls within the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. In its ruling, the court directed that the report in question be submitted to KNCHR, which shall undertake the necessary executive actions and allow for any required amendments to bring the process into conformity with the Constitution. The panel's term has been extended for a further period of 180 days from the date of publication of the Gazette notice. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.